Hello there, how's it going? Let's talk about the last section of the book Atomic Habits, Little Lessons from the Four Laws of Behavior Change. And I broke them down into three sections so I can talk about them in a bunch of three videos to make the videos shorter. So let's begin. In this video, I have introduced a four-step model for human behavior: cue, craving, response, reward. This framework not only teaches us how to create new habits but also reveals some interesting insight about human behavior. Yes, let me highlight it. In this section, I have compiled some lessons that are confirmed by the model. The purpose of these examples is to clarify just how useful and wide-ranging this framework is when describing human behavior. Once you understand the model, you'll see examples of it everywhere. Yes, this is a very fun section, by the way, very different from the rest of the book. So let's read the first section. Awareness comes before desire. Awareness comes before desire. So let me highlight it. I think I forgot to highlight it. Awareness comes before desire. A craving is created when you assign a meaning to a cue. Your brain constructs an emotion or feeling to describe your current situation, and that means a craving can only occur after you have noticed an opportunity. Yes, that's why I believe motivational speakers talk about creating goals. Now, creating goals is about awareness, asking yourself, what do you even want? When you know what you want, then you will start craving it, right? Most people just want to be happy and rich. That's not a clear goal. What do you want specifically? Then your desire will then you can develop your desire later, but awareness is very important. Happiness is simply the absence of desire. Very good point, very good point. When you observe a cue but do not desire to change your state, you are content with the current situation. Happiness is not about the achievement of pleasure, which is joy or satisfaction, but about the lack of desire. It arrives when you have no urge to feel differently. Happiness is the state you enter when you no longer want to change your state. Wow. Very powerful idea. Happiness, you can't be happy and have desires. Well, you can have desires, but good desires, and not too many at the same time. Otherwise, you will feel miserable and out of control. But wanting too many things at the same time will rob you of your mental peace. Right? Happiness would be mental peace in this case. However, happiness is fleeting because a new desire always comes along. Happiness is the space between one desire being fulfilled and a new desire forming. Yeah. Here I would rather say happiness, I would replace happiness with mental peace or a state of calm. And in order to be peaceful, you need to pick your desires, right? Not just chase everything that you think is good for you. It is the idea of pleasure that we chase. Exactly. Whenever we see a cue, we construct a mental image of what it would be like to get it. We don't know how it would feel like because we have never felt it. It's like you see some food and you can smell it, but you don't know how it tastes like. You construct a mental image that tells you that it will taste good. It is the idea. We don't know how it will feel, but we create an image in our mind. So let's read it. It is the idea of pleasure that we chase. We seek the image of pleasure that we generate in our minds at the time of action. We do not know what it will be like to attain that image, or even if it will satisfy us. The feeling of satisfaction only comes afterward. Very powerful idea. So the idea is two people can look at the same thing. One person will be extremely interested in it. The second person will not. So, for example, a simple example would be a toy. An adult would not be interested in a toy, but a child will be very interested in it, right? Because the child thinks that it is going to be fun to play with it. That would be one example. I don't know, think it's a good one. You can take an example of a car. Maybe someone who wants too much money will think that buying a car would make him happy. But for someone else, they would say, well, it's just a physical object, how that object will change my mental state. And then there's a quote of Viktor Frankl, the author of As a Man, the author of The Man's Search for Meaning. This is what Viktor Frankl meant when he said that happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. Desire is pursued, pleasure comes from action. Pleasure ensues from action. I don't know how to explain it. I still don't understand it myself, to be honest. So I will need to do some research on it. Let me highlight it in green. Peace occurs when you don't turn your observations into problems. This is very similar to this one. Happiness is simply the absence of desire. So peace occurs when you don't turn your observations into problems. The first step in any behavior is observation. Exactly. You notice a cue, a bit of information, an event. If you do not desire to act on what you observe, you are at peace. Craving is about wanting to fix everything. Observation without craving is the realization that you do not need to fix anything. Your desires are not running rampant. You do not crave a change in state. Your mind does not generate a problem for you to solve. You are simply observing and existing. Yeah, people watch news and they complain about the government, or anything. They will look at social media, they will complain about what other people are doing with their life, but that has nothing to do with you, right? If you didn't open social media, you wouldn't even know what they were doing in the first place. So that's just one example. But observation is not just about your physical environment, it's also about your mental environment. Most people, when they get a negative thought, they try to suppress it. They become judgmental. But you can be at peace and realize that you are not generating your thoughts. That's an idea from meditation, but I don't know too much about it. In order to become at peace, you need to let go. With a big enough why, you can overcome any how. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." This phrase harbors an important truth about human behavior. If your motivation and desire are great enough, you will take action even when it is quite difficult. Great craving can power great action even when the friction is high. Yes, I would say this is true for video games in modern world. Some video games are extremely difficult, but people, the gamers, would still love to play those games. Now, for real life, we see very few high achieving people who just fall in love with the process, right? Working hard and following their dreams. But the idea is that you need a why, you need a desire. You can have all the education of the world right in front of you. That's the cue. But if you don't have the desire to change, then you won't take action. Emotions drive behavior. Emotions drive behavior. Every decision is an emotional decision at some level. Whatever your logical reasons are for taking action, you only feel compelled to act on them because of emotion. In fact, people with damage to emotional centers of the brain can list many reasons for taking action but still will not act because they do not have emotions to drive them. This is why craving comes before response. The feeling comes first and then the behavior. Yeah, you need to be in a good mental state in order to take an action. That's a very important idea. You need to take good care of your mental health. That's the idea. It's always the emotions that initiate a behavior, and if you are not taking good care of your health, your mental health, by sleeping too much, not exercising, and consuming social media, you won't be able to take good actions. It always comes from the mind. Mind is the master computer, you can say. And emotions drive behavior. As you said, it's not just the mind, it's the emotional part of the brain. You need to take good care of it. Let's do the final. Let's talk about the final section. We can only be rational and logical after we have been emotional. We can only be rational and logical after we have been emotional. The primary mode of the brain is to feel. The secondary mode is to think. Our first response, the fast, non-conscious portion of the brain, is optimized for feeling and anticipating. Our second response, the slow, conscious portion of the brain, is the part that does the thinking. Now, it's just theory, right? It's just theory, and theory is not enough. You will need to reflect on it and take a look at your life, where you should have been logical, but instead you became emotional and took the wrong decision because of the emotions. So the idea is, only when you're feeling good, you can take good logical decisions. I think that's the idea, and we have seen it in our own life. If we are very happy and optimistic, we can create goals and think about the future. But if we are depressed, sad, unhappy, lazy, we would be we would not be thinking about the future, right? We would be thinking about something very very mediocre, very trivial. So we can only be rational and logical after we have been emotional. Psychologists refer to this as System 1, feelings and rapid judgments, versus System 2, rational analysis. The feelings come first. The feeling comes first. System 1, the rationality only intervenes later. System 2. This works great when the two are aligned, but it results in illogical and emotional thinking when they are not. Emotional thinking. Yeah, for example, you are a parent. Let's say you are a parent or a teacher, and your child or your student is not behaving as you want them to behave. Would you get angry and shout at them? That's emotional thinking, right? But logically speaking, that is not going to fix their behavior. You getting angry and shouting at them will not fix it. It might increase their behavior, it might make them rebellious, it might make them not like you. I think that's the worst thing that can happen to a parent, when your own child does not like you. You can take a step back and you can be logical, and you can try to teach your children to be more friendly instead of getting angry at them. You can fix the child you can fix your child's mistake in a calm manner, and in that way you can be exemplary, someone to look up to for your child instead of someone to ignore or hate. So that's it for the little lessons part 1. In the next video we'll talk about the lessons 2. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.